Hey, we're live.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the All Leads Suck podcast, where we come to you every Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, and we talk a whole lot about marketing and lead generation and why the leads seem to maybe suck, but they probably don't. And a lot of times it's us. Guys, my name is Dominic Felix.
Luis Rodriguez.
This is Sam.
And guys, every time we come at you on a Thursday, we always have an extra special guest. And today we have April Juliano. She's somewhat of a local legend. She's really making a lot of noise on social media. April, thank you for coming and joining us.
Having me here. I'm so
And
excited to be here. Today.
Totally gracing us with your presence. How do you find the time?
I know, right?
Yeah.
4 kids. I was just telling him the last time I couldn't come to one of the meetups is because I was in labor.
Yeah.
Right.
Having another baby. But no more.
No
Four's
more.
enough.
Okay,
We're done.
4.
Yeah.
4 is I remember. So I have 3 kids,
Yeah.
right? I had my first child when I was 26 years old. She's 18 now. We just dropped her off in college
I was
2
going to
weekends
ask
ago.
about that.
Then I had my second child, and I was like, 2 is not really much different than 1.
Yeah.
But then when I had my third child,
That's the truth.
it totally changed everything. It
Right.
like turned us upside down on our heads.
I know, it is.
And then I got a vasectomy, and my wife got fixed, and we didn't want to take any chances. Just no more children for
Well,
us.
that was the plan after the third one, but it didn't happen in time. So,
Oh, shish
which is
kebabs.
all right, you know.
Okay.
And actually, the fourth one is pretty easy. Like it's just like it's crazy at
the
this
first
point.
one
It's like,
takes-
yeah, whatever. Just
The
throw
first
another
one takes
in.
care of the others.
They actually they do. They all entertain them. I'm like, here, take the baby.
That's what I was going to say. I heard something about if you have, I was 5 children. If you have 5 children, the 5th ends up taking care of the
Yeah.
first ends up taking care of
Taking
the 5th
care of
and
all the
helping
rest,
you get
yes.
through that. So
Yes, needless
Yep,
to
yep,
say,
interesting.
it is crazy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, April, if you don't mind, just do a short introduction to our viewers and just let them know who you are and a little bit of background on yourself.
Sure. My name's April Juliano. I live right here in Jacksonville, Florida. I've been a real estate investor here. I started investing right here in 2020. And since then, I've done over 100 wholesale deals, over 70 flips, and we own 22 of our own properties, rentals, Airbnbs, and actually just 1 pad split that we did this year.
Wow. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a tremendous, because I think you kind of I think you play it like you're not a bigger operation, but that's a tremendous amount of activity.
Oh,
yeah,
thank
yeah.
you.
The first thing that you said to us is we're just a small operation.
Yeah.
I only got 20 houses, couple Airbnbs,
No.
a pad split.
Try to stay low.
Sprinkle a pad split on top.
Yes.
Yeah, well, I got into it and I love it so much. And I'm a hustler and I don't want to I try not to,
Brag.
brag or anything, but we do.
You need to brag.
We do hustle and we do work really hard. And yeah, I'm just having a lot of fun.
Yeah, yeah.
Your name actually comes up a lot
Oh, yeah.
in all kinds of real estate communities, especially when it comes to Jacksonville. I remember the first time I met with Pace Morby
Yeah.
and I talked to him and I was asking if he was going to do anything in Jacksonville or anything like that. He dropped your name and he's like, oh, April Juliana is my person in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
So you need to talk to her because we're already planning something.
Yeah, he was actually, so right after I started wholesaling, we kind of were like, my husband and I had sold some properties in New Jersey. We're
Yeah.
from New Jersey and we moved here. I had been here since 2008. I met him in New Jersey and brought him back down here with me in 2015. And in 2017, we had sold some properties up in New Jersey, and we were kind of trying to figure out for a couple years what we were going to do. And we stumbled into the wholesaling thing. I don't even know how. I think a friend had told us about it, and so in 2020, literally the day that we went into, I don't know, what do you call that again? Seclusion? What do we call it? I don't even remember.
Oh, you're talking about for COVID?
Quarantine, yeah, COVID. We started cold calling
Mm.
because we're like, okay, we're going to start this wholesaling thing. And about 3 weeks into it, we found Pace, and
Okay.
he was about to start his mentorship, and so I jumped into his mentorship right away, and actually became really good friends with him that way. And that was before he was even really big
Yeah.
at the time, and so we became really good friends. And he's actually been very instrumental in helping me grow my business because we have a really good friendship, and so he will drop my name for Jacksonville anytime anybody brings up Jacksonville, Florida. So it's really nice.
Right.
Yeah.
What kind of made you want to join his mentorship? Because there are so many gurus out there.
I know. Well, it's funny because I was very focused on we're going to do this cold calling thing, which cold calling was awesome. Like those first like 8 months during COVID.
Say that again.
Well, especially during COVID, it was awesome. There's no door knocking or anything like that going on. And so, I mean, I was just laser focused. I mean, I had just had my third child. And so I was out in the garage for 5, 6, 7 hours a day, just on the Mojo dialer, just 3-line dialer, just calling. I mean, 5, 6, 7 hours a day.
And you were calling yourself,
I was calling myself.
not an assistant,
No one was
VA.
calling, just me.
You were calling like a list
I
of
just called
prospects.
a horrible list of absentee high equity, the worst list ever. But I mean, it was
Absentees
great.
are good, I
It's
think.
great. Oh no, I know. I'm just saying, like, if you're cold calling by yourself, I think a niche list now, like niching down into maybe some
It's
super
gonna be
distressed
better.
at the time. Right, I didn't know. I'm just like, oh, we're gonna go and we're gonna pull this high equity absentee, and we're gonna load up 10,000 names into the dialer, and it's gonna be no problem. And so it was amazing experience. Obviously very
I
difficult.
think you're
We were
probably
doing.
the only person who would say I called 10,000 people and it was an amazing experience.
Looking back, it was an amazing experience, right? Like during the time, it was not so amazing. That was blood, sweat, and tears, but I definitely laid the foundation for the hustle. You have to be able to have that type of commitment in order to make this work. I mean, you guys know it. It's just all about the consistency and the persistency. Anyway, so I was laser focused on doing that. I was doing probably 30 to 40 hours a week out in the garage, cold calling myself, literally just writing things in a notebook.
Yep.
I had no CRM. I had a Mojo dialer and a list. That was it. That's how I started my career in wholesaling. And I remember Pace did some sort of 24-hour live or something like that, and my husband had it on. I'm like, I'm not watching that. I'm laser focused on this wholesaling thing, and I just heard it in the back of my mind. As I'm walking around the house, I'm like listening. I'm like, this guy's pretty cool. And I heard him talking a little bit about this creative financing stuff. And what's funny is that my very first deal ended up being a creative deal.
Wow.
Before you met him or anything like that?
Before I met him, before I knew anything. And I'm the type of person, like, take action and then figure it out along the way, right? So, I remember one of my first leads. So after I would get done cold calling, I'd be looking on Facebook, emailing people. And, there was a lot more. So I don't know if they're doing this now because I'm not on Facebook as much, but there was a lot of sellers that would like put their houses up. And so I was reaching out to those sellers on Facebook, and I got an appointment with one, and I went and I met with them. And I remember they were getting all these offers, for like $3,000 or $4,000 over what they owed, right? Or more than what they owed. So they knew they were going to have to come to the table with money, and they were going to either have to
Because of what? Closing
the
costs? Or?
mortgage. So I think their mortgage was around 65,000, and they were getting offers between 55 and 60. So they were either going to come to the table with 5,000, 6,000, or 10,000. They were just trying to figure out how much they were going to have to come to the table with. And so just after hearing Pace just walking around the house, I go, well, what if, we did a sub-2 flip situation where we take over your mortgage payments, we'll renovate the house, and then when we sell it, we'll pay off your mortgage, and I'll give you $500 in moving expenses. And they were like, what? You can do this? And I was like, sure. I'm like,
how did you know that you
She
could
didn't have any idea. She just
I just said it.
Yeah.
It's like, get a contract for you.
You don't have a contract. You
I
don't
don't
have
have
anything.
anything. I just told him that we could do this because I had heard.
But she does have a napkin.
Yeah.
You can nail on a
Napkin, you
napkin.
can write it on.
So you just heard it somewhere.
Said it. And then I said, all right, let me go figure this out. So they're like, we're on board. Let's do this. They loved me. So
What year was this?
This was 2020.
2020.
So probably May of 2020.
Okay.
This is right before I started Pace's mentorship. So I went back and I immediately just went onto the local Jacksonville Facebook investor pages. I don't even know if I was on Yellowbird at the time. I found who was it that reached out to me? Nate Claire, maybe.
Yeah.
You guys probably run into him
Yeah,
before, and he
Buying
was like,
Jack's homes.
Yeah.
he's like, I've done one of these before. I will help you. And, you know, I think our assignment fee was maybe 3,500. And he's like, just, you know, throw me 500, you keep the 3,000, and here's the contract, and I'll help you find a buyer. I mean, it was very nice. He walked me through the whole thing. So it was just me going out and getting the deal and then taking it to someone who knew what they were doing
Yeah.
Mhm.
and helping me walk through the entire process. And then I knew what I was doing. And I was like, wow, this creative finance thing is cool.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I am going to
I
go
love it.
and join Pace's mentorship.
It's like you found a life hack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it when win-wins like that are figured out because we literally are going through something very similar right now. It started off as some would perceive like a negative, like a negative beginning of an experience as to where like, so we engaged with a seller, we got him under a purchase and sale agreement. Sam actually did the transaction. And what the seller did was he filled out a form online and he submitted the request to get an offer, right? So Sam called him back immediately, put him under a purchase and sale agreement. Then the next day, someone called him back. He signed another agreement. Then the next day, someone called him back. He signed the third agreement.
Oh, wow.
Then we all started finding out about each other and started talking to the seller. So we just had a handful of really good conversations with the seller, and we just made sure he understood that like we were the first signers and the legal challenges that can come up when you get into this type of situation, right? Now, what's weird, and I'm not sure if this is accurate, but this is what we've been told by title companies and real estate attorneys that have a lot of experiences. This happened in Alabama, right?
Okay.
In that state, was that it's not who signs the agreement first. It's who files the memo first that gets priority.
Oh.
However, regardless of who even signs the memo first, if there are multiple memos, they all have to be agreed upon to get released,
Oh.
whether someone has precedence or not. Now, that doesn't mean it's totally accurate to give them the right. It means that if you want to get this closed, you have to come to an agreement. Outside of that, it's legal, you know, get attorneys involved and sue, and then get what's most right done, which is probably who signed first.
Right.
Right? But a title company is not willing, in that state at least, to close over the memos, even if you have the agreement that's signed first.
Interesting.
Yeah. However, we befriended the other gentleman because there was only 2 hours in someone else's memo. We befriended him, and now we're doing the transaction together.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we have a really good agreement. We're super happy with. He's super happy with. And it's kind of very similar to the Nate Claire. And then
Yeah.
this is a novation deal,
Okay.
and we're
yeah.
actually teaching him the novation
Yeah.
process.
Oh, cool.
as well.
That's
So
worth
that
it.
sounds like it helped you out tremendously.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
I thought that was really cool that he did that, and then I was like, okay, I know how to do this. Now let's go learn more about it. And so
Nice.
that's how I entered into
And
the
you've
whole
done over
creative.
100 deals by now.
Yes.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's
Are
very
they all
impressive.
creative?
No. No.
Okay.
I would say a majority of them are wholesale.
Oh wow. Okay.
But you know, just having that creative option
Yeah.
has been huge. I mean, it definitely has increased my deals by probably 30-40%.
Right.
Yeah.
If I go back and, you know, write down, you know, I could go back and look, you know, most of them are going to be cash deals because it doesn't work for everybody.
Right.
But at least it's something. And, you know, anybody that I've ever done a creative deal with, they're like so happy that we were able to come up with a solution for them because it's usually that there is no solution.
Right.
Yeah.
And so to be able to do, you know, these creative deals has been huge. And every single door that I own is a creative deal.
Well, that's how you have to do it. Do you
Hey.
find that people think like creative almost seems like illegal most of the time, and you really have to educate them on like how it's done?
No, yes and no. You know how it is. It's, you know, every seller is different. But yeah, I mean, when that does come up, we just from being in Pace's mentorship, we have all the tools to be able to. I mean, it is sanctioned by the federal government that this cannot be outlawed.
Right.
It can only be regulated, and every bank has their own regulations on how they deal with it. But it cannot be outlawed, so it's actually protected by the federal government, creative
Wow.
finance.
So
Wow.
I have encountered a lot of people, because we've done a tremendous amount of wholesale deals too, and I've encountered a lot of salespeople or closers, not just sellers, but closers who have great skepticism against this,
Of
against the
course.
whole creative pitch or even creative deals.
Yeah.
So, and we've even gone through that experience internally because
Mhm.
we've hired people who had done cash offers in the past and they just couldn't wrap their head around even pitching this
Oh yeah.
or going through it or trying to close those deals because they were skeptics. I call them non-believers.
Yeah.
And then you have to convert them into believers.
Yeah.
So recently, I watched a podcast that was done by Pace, and I think one of your cousins or a
My
sister-in-law.
sister. Yeah.
So she was on there, and
Oh,
it seems like I
nice.
watched that whole
Yeah.
episode. It was a great
My
episode.
sister and her husband are in
It's your
Arizona.
sister or it's your
And I
cousin?
got her in
Okay.
yeah.
So she seemed to be one of those non-believers,
Yes.
and it took years of you proving the concept before she became a believer herself.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it was a very interesting show to watch, or a podcast to
Well,
watch.
you should say the best part because the sales guy we had him for about 2 months. He closed he locked up 4 deals, 3 of which fell apart, 1 of which transacted. And then as soon as you took the calls over and incorporated creative, what did the numbers look like?
Oh my gosh.
I mean, you want to share?
Yeah.
Well, since I'm there, I think it was
18.
13 or 14 in less than a month.
Wow.
Yeah. And,
And it was a mixture. There was cash in there, but a lot was creative too.
Yeah.
I would say probably half of them are
Being
creative.
able to turn it into
Right.
a deal.
It was insane.
So
Yeah.
it's really just believing in your product, because if you don't believe in your product, the seller will smell that from a mile away,
Yeah.
and
Well,
they won't do
you
business.
some time to start believing.
He was an
in it.
unbeliever as well.
Now.
I'll tell you this:
Yeah.
way before I was ever an entrepreneur and I was buying rental properties, I had 2 or 3, and then I picked up a book called Finding Fixer-Uppers, right? And I forgot the author. But in the book Finding Fixer-Uppers, they talked about just pitching seller financing to people.
Interesting.
Things that are on the MLS, just pitching it. And this is over 20 years ago, maybe right at about 20 years ago.
Okay.
So then this is when I first got my real estate license. So I got my license because I wanted to be an investor and I wanted to save money on the fees and the commissions or gain commissions, right? So I just put a bunch of offers on the MLS and I got an 8 rental property package at 8% interest or 6% interest. And they would cash flow with long-term rentals. And it was because of that book. And this is way before, I don't even know if Pace Morby was born, honestly.
Yeah.
Right?
So I want to
I'm a
reiterate.
believer.
I think now you are. I think you were
Okay.
skeptical, but I think now you're a believer. Because your process mostly was cash offers.
It was 100%
Because you've
cash.
done 1,000
We did-
wholesale deals, and how many of them were creative deals?
We've done 1,000 deals in 5.5 years. 1,053 deals, and we did sub 2s, probably less than I can count on one hand.
Yeah.
3 or 4 sub 2s we did, and probably a few seller finance deals.
So it's
Everything else
easy to
was
be
cash. We
skeptical.
never
Yeah.
listed properties, and we never referred for realtors.
Now the question is, could you have done 1,500 deals if you
So
were
here's
pitching?
the thing: year 2 in business, we incorporated a creative process. Once again, before Pace
is
Morby.
big, yeah.
And my sales guys couldn't get their head wrapped around that process. So it really disrupted us badly for 2 or 3 months.
That makes sense.
Our sales started going down the tubes. So we just wiped it out.
Right.
And then we put cash back into it. So I do think it takes a special person to be able to think about all the different exit strategies.
Right,
Oh,
because
yeah.
Pace will even say there's no one deal that looks the same
Yeah.
Which is
when
true.
it comes to creative.
Which is
It's
true.
all different.
Because a lot of cash deals are even different. So
Yeah.
you think about all the exit strategies and all the different types you
Yes.
can structure it, of course.
Yeah.
So what I want to ask you is, because it took your sister years
Hmm.
to believe as well. Is there a shortcut to sell somebody on the vision that it is possible and it's a very powerful tool?
So I don't feel like you can convince somebody to believe something they don't want to believe. And it's the same thing with a seller, right? Like there is a process of showing someone versus convincing someone.
Right.
So I think that was why eventually she learned to believe. And I wouldn't say it took her years. It probably took her about a year before she saw it. But you can't convince anybody that something is so, right? They have to see it for themselves. So
I think that's a great answer.
I don't think that there is any shortcut. I think it's very sad if you can't open your mind to new possibilities. And, it's kind of like when, for me, it's like I look at some of my friends and I'm like, why don't you get into real estate? Like this is the best thing ever. I mean, it changes your financial future. It sets you up for long-term wealth. Why don't you want to be an entrepreneur? But not everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. They just can't wrap their minds around not getting paid by somebody else, that they have to go out there and make it themselves. So I think that what's so wonderful about it is that it just opens up a whole new world of possibilities versus you just have this one way and this is the way and this is it. And I mean, not that you can't be successful there, but just how much more fun it is if you are doing the creative finance stuff. At least I think so.
So if you have closers that work underneath you or with you, how do you teach them the concept?
Yeah, so that's kind of the hard part. For the most part, I would say that I'm the one that has always been the closer of the creative deals. Because we operate with a pretty small team. And so my team understands it and knows it. And actually, we have 2 acquisition managers right now, and we kind of found them through the creative finance realm. And so they are on board with the creative finance stuff. But, I'm like you guys where, people will be like, oh, I want to focus on creative finance. Like that's not it, right? That
Correct.
you have to focus on finding the leads, right? And then that creative finance is the exit strategy.
It's a tool.
It's an exit strategy,
Right.
right? And so, the people that we have come on board, even my partner that I have now, on the wholesale side, she came from the PACE community too. So we're all, on board with the creative finance stuff. And haven't come across what you guys have come across, like trying to convince or trying to show people about the creative finance, because that has been my world for the last 5 years. So
Right.
most people that I know, and even, my meetups, a lot of my meetups that I have come from the sub 2 community. PACE's community is sub 2.
Yep.
So
Right.
even my connections that I meet, they're like interested in the creative finance.
So it seems like you're just in the right pond already. So for
Yeah.
you to find the people that are already sold on the vision is much easier.
Yes.
So you have a meetup today.
I do.
Yes, tonight.
So
Which
that's
we are not
the one-
invited to.
You
Thank
are.
you for
You
that.
are. Everyone's
This
always
is what Chris
invited.
Vargas was talking about.
Yes.
Yes.
We
Yeah.
have a training every Wednesday. We do a wholesale training.
Okay.
It's
It's
a free
wholesale
mastermind.
training.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
where
do
is
live
it?
seller calls. It's on
We
Zoom.
just do it on Zoom.
Oh,
Just
I
do a
gotta
Zoom
get on
call.
there.
I do
Yeah.
Gotta
free
get my
live
eyes on
seller
there.
calls. I think 2 of the meetings that we did, I locked up deals
Yeah.
on the
Like
Great.
meeting itself.
signatures
I'm
on
Yeah.
the
on it.
call.
While we were there, it was really cool.
All right, you gotta
So
get me that information.
And
We'll
one of them
get
was
you on
actually
it.
an AI lead. So it was a live transfer from our AI
Oh,
CRM.
cool.
And it just rung his phone directly, like in the middle of the training.
That's
Because
amazing.
the AI will get people on the phone, qualify them a little bit, and then transfer it us like in real time.
So during yesterday's training, your name came up again.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah, there's a guy, I guess he's
Louis
here
Vargas,
in
yeah.
Jacksonville. His name is Luis
Yeah.
Vargas.
Yeah.
So he was asking everybody, is everybody going to the meetup?
amazing.
And we couldn't find the meetup. And then he put the flyer in and it had your face. And we're like, oh,
Oh,
she's
he did
coming to the
drop the flyer?
podcast. Yeah.
that's
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. Well,
So you
you
guys
had
know already.
actually tried to do one of Pace's techniques, right? Like you tried to do get them to refinance the mortgage so then we could take over
Yeah,
it.
yesterday.
The Morby method.
Is it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's what we were going to do. But The Morby method I was gonna do, I guess this is Sam's Morby method.
Sim or B.
It's a Morby method. So, Morby says that basically they refinance the property, you take over the loan that they have existing, and then
Yes.
you give them a second position on the rest of
Yes.
their equity.
Right.
In my case, he was just going to refinance the loan, whatever he has to come up with for the loan, I was just going to reimburse him for that.
It
And
would be
then the
part of
rest
the
of the
entry
equity
fee.
just gets wiped out. So he has no
Oh, that
second
would be
position.
cool.
Right.
Yeah.
And essentially, like in a perfect world, you can go to close at the same time, and his closing cost would be part of the entry fee
Yeah.
for the end
Correct.
buyer.
Yeah.
And it was going to be like a 10K entry fee, but he was going to refi like 6-7%. So it's a house that already appraised for 200, but he owes a hard. So the reason this is even a deal is because he took out a hard money loan, and I guess he didn't calculate the deal correctly. He didn't underwrite it correctly, and he's too much in. And the deal is on the market, but he can't sell it. And the biggest reason we think he can't sell it is because it only has one bathroom.
Yeah.
So it's a flip with one bathroom, and I guess nobody wants
Where
it.
is it?
It's in Birmingham, Alabama.
Okay.
Right. So that being said, he called me back and he's like, listen, just pay off my hard money loan. I don't want to deal with this because he initially was asking 30 grand over the hard money. Now he's like, just pay off my hard money. I'll be good with it. And we were like, we can't because our
Yeah.
cash buy number is like 20 grand less.
Right. Then that.
So I'm like, listen, I'm going to give you two options. Either you bring 20 grand to the closing table or you refi and I'll reimburse you for all the costs that you have in this. And we'll just take over the loan that you
And you're
bring
clean.
in. And you're
Yeah.
clean, you just walk away with nothing.
Okay.
So he's like, can you give me at least 1 to 2 days to think about it? And it's listed on the market. He has to take it off the market with his agent
Okay.
so that he doesn't have to pay them commissions too.
So that's another like challenge that has to be figured out.
Yeah.
Right.
Is the
That's
agent.
what's so great about creative finance
Right.
is
Mhm.
that there's like multiple ways that you can, think of these, like how to solve people's problems.
Right.
Oh yeah.
And the important thing, like what I do, is when I'm pitching something, and in my head, I already know, hey, this is going to be the exit strategy before I even present it or before they even say the full story. But I still always lead with cash.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
Of course. Of
Yeah.
right.
course.
Because it resets their
But
entire
I think
expectation.
you've got the idea there is that is helping people understand the creative part,
Right.
right? Because they have to come to the conclusion on their own what the best solution for themselves is.
Right.
I feel I went to a conference where I heard Donald Miller. Have you read the storybook, the storytelling book that he
Yeah.
So he gave like a really good he was talking about, it's the story that you tell,
The
right?
brand, build
Like,
your brand with a
yes,
story.
yeah,
Yes.
like
Build
the
your
the
story.
Our
seller
videographer is
build
reading
your
that
brand.
book for like
Yes.
2 weeks and he can't return me my book still.
Exactly. So the seller has to be the hero, right? Like you have to just be the one that presents the solutions.
Right.
They have to come to the idea on their own that this is
Correct.
the best way. And so obviously, giving them all of their options. In fact, anytime I do a creative deal, I push people away. Are you sure you want to do this? Here are all the things, right? Like this might not be the best option for you. And so I try to push people away to not do it so that they can come to the conclusion on their own. Like, no, this is the best solution for us. And we're thankful that,
It's
this
like
is
you
the
lead the
idea.
horse to the water.
Right. But
and
then let them,
Yeah, you're like, don't drink this water. It
don't
might not-
drink water.
Right.
So I have a question that I want cleared up for me, and a lot of people might want a little bit of clarity. Okay, so you apparently have some type of relationship with Pace Morby as a representative of Jacksonville. Can you clear up exactly what that is?
No, I'm not. None, there's no real relationship. We're just friends.
Okay,
And he doesn't do business in Florida.
because it
Why?
feels like you're like the representative
Yeah,
for Jacksonville.
I think he puts me out there like that, which is so nice.
He said you're a
He
leader
wants-
of the Jacksonville
I
community.
Yeah.
am. So I actually am it's a totally voluntary position, but I am what you call a regional leader.
Okay.
And so as a part of his program, so like I don't, you pay a one-time fee to be in his program, you get to be in it for life. But I'm actually the leader of the North Florida program, right? And
Mhm.
so anybody who comes into the program and, has any questions or wants to go to meetup, they come to me.
Okay.
And in return, I mean, people bring me deals.
Of course.
Right.
So that's like the
Love it.
biggest thing. And he doesn't want deals here in Jacksonville, or he doesn't want deals in Florida. He used
He
to be
can't
in
accept them
Florida.
everywhere, right? It's just
Right,
too
he
many.
I'm
can't.
curious why.
It's
So he
insurance at
moved
that
out
point.
of Florida in about 2022 after the market crashed. I mean, he owns a lot of properties in Orlando. And even when he was in Florida, he was only in Orlando.
Mm.
So he has no interest in Jacksonville. He doesn't even come to Jacksonville. So he's like,
Pace sounds really mean.
yeah,
Mean guy.
he's a
No,
mean
I
dude.
love that.
Yeah.
So every single thing that comes
I mean,
his
stay
way
away.
in
We'll take all the
Jacksonville,
deals.
right, he sends to me. So that's really what it is. It's kind of like if, you're not doing deals in Oregon, and you have a friend in Oregon, you're like, go to my friend in Oregon. And that's kind of, it's kind of the same thing for me. If I'm not doing a deal in New Jersey and I know someone in New Jersey, I'm like, go to Will in New Jersey and he'll help you
Mm.
out. And so that's kind of what he does for me here. Just because he doesn't do business here. He's Arizona, and now he's moving into Montana. He's buying RV parks and multifamily, and
Mm,
all of it's creative. And so he's completely out of Florida. And so that's what he does. He just sends me all the business that's in Florida.
That's amazing.
Very
I
sweet.
love that.
Yeah.
wow.
Another question. So you're starting to become a lot more loud on social media, and it seems like you're going down a certain path. What's all going on with that?
So I hired a team 2 years
team?
ago, a social media team, a company, I guess you should say. They're local here. They're wonderful. And we just kind of started small. But I've been just trying to kind of ramp that up. And one of the reasons why, well, first of all, I want deals. I get deals sent to me that
Deals are
way.
so nice.
I know, right? The second thing is I raise a lot of money through social media. And so, so I now in about 2021 we started our first flip. And in 2022 we did probably 7, and then in 2023 we did 14, and this year I've already bought 22.
Wow.
So my goal is by the end of the year I wanted to have bought 45 to 50 flips. And so I need money.
Yeah.
Because I can't carry 45 to 50 flips on my own, nor do I want to use my own money. And so I started this whole thing about a year ago where I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to use $1 of my own money to do any of these flips. I'm going to go 100% private money. I don't use any institutional money. I use all private money, and I do most of it through my social media.
Wow.
Obviously through Pace's program, I have a lot of connections.
Hey,
And
love that.
then also just from, people that I've made connections with on social media, then they'll tell their dad and their sister and their cousins. And so then all those people come to me and want to lend me money. And so that's kind of my strategy now. I just
How
have
much
this,
money are you raising?
so far this year, it's been a little over 11 million,
Wow.
all
That's
private
incredible.
money. And
That's how much you raised already.
that's how much I've raised already. Yes.
What are you buying? The entire Moncrief?
Yes. Yes, exactly. No 32209, but or 54, but I'll buy anywhere else. Yeah, I mean, and I raise money for my rental properties as well because they are all creative. So I raise money for my entry fees.
Mm.
And some of them I bring on partners, and some of them, I just pay them an interest. So like
You said it with like a straight face, like $11 million.
yeah, no big deal.
Yeah.
I mean, it's actually not that hard. I mean, really, it's not. Once you start doing
Say that
it,
in the
it's
camera. It's not hard to get $11 million.
Not hard. It's
Say
really
that.
not.
Yeah.
Once you start doing it, I mean, people, they have money and they want to be involved and they don't want to do the work.
Oh yeah.
And so I just put myself out there, like, I'll do all the work. I just put out a new YouTube video, the top 5 things that you're doing wrong with your money.
Oh wow.
Love that.
The number one thing I said was, and I actually had some money out, and I'm like, what are you doing with your money? Yeah. I was like, cutting money. And one of them was like the high yield interest bank accounts. I'm like, it's 7%. Come on, So, yeah, I mean, I've got, my dad, my family, my family's investing, and I have friends, and, getting everybody on
That's
board.
amazing.
So my goal is to not use $1 of my own.
So
money
how
for
long did it
any-
take you to raise $11 million? I want to
6 months.
emphasize one more time. $11 million.
I can answer it. Can I answer that for
Yeah.
you? 7 months, bro.
Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah,
thinking.
exactly.
She said this year.
She said this year, yeah.
22
yeah, that's
flips.
true.
Yeah, but I've
Yeah.
also bought 5 houses for my portfolio that we also raised private money for.
Now, how many people did you raise money from?
Oh, I don't know. I'd have to go and
So
it's
is
not
it a lot?
many. It's not a lot.
It's not many.
It's not
Can
a
you count
lot.
them on one hand?
No, no, no,
Two
no.
hands.
No, 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 no. No,
Okay.
it's more than
It's not
Okay.
11 million at $1 each.
right. Yeah, no, no. I've got several people that like I've got one guy that's got 10 million that he just constantly like one but not just with me. I think he's got about 1 million with me. And then he does the so there it's
So what? Tell me the
people
structure.
out
I'm
there
curious.
that have money,
Oh, yeah.
that
There's a lot of
they
money out there.
and they're sitting in high interest yield bank accounts.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
it's like even my dad, he's got $100,000 in a bank
I want to
account.
jump in with it
Go
because
ahead.
Sam gets
Hey.
deep.
Yeah.
Really quick. So most of when you borrow money or when you raise money from private money lenders, are most of it like per deal kind of money
Yes.
raising, or is a lot of it you're just paying them a steady return
Okay,
and
so
they trust
great
you with their
question.
cash?
I've got a couple people that are like that. Just a couple, right? Less than one, one hand. That they just give me their money and I pay them and I just move their money around to different projects. For the most part, it's
Mm-hmm.
per deal. But what I do also is that I also have money that's out there that I'm ready to use, right? So I'll have situations where like I'll have more money than deals.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Someone
I'll
might say, I have a
more
$500,000
deals than
bucks. If you
money.
have a deal that comes up, let me
Yeah,
know.
like
Stuff
right now
like
I've
that.
got money.
Right.
I need some deals. So if you guys
Okay.
got some deals, send me some deals.
Mhm.
Send me some deals. And so I
We
have
actually might be able to
money.
do like
I
a
was just gonna say,
hybrid money borrowing
we got C
thing.
Street.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was gonna say we have C Street.
Yeah,
we're
we have
gonna
C
talk to you
Street.
about something.
All
I was
right.
gonna
we'll
do it
have to
after
with
the
off
Get some
camera.
podcast.
deals together.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, my goal is, I want to educate people on how they can make more money on their money.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to raise money on my social media and I want to find deals on my social media. And I do love, the educational part of it. And so, so we've really been ramping it up. I've been studying up on it and my social media team's amazing. And, they're kind of scaling and growing with me.
Mm-hmm.
And we just have like very like-minded, like they know, what my thought process is and like what I want put out there. And so
Yeah.
been
A
trying to
lot of
ramp
what
it
you're
up.
putting out there is a lot of really helpful stuff
Well,
that's going to
thank
help a
you.
ton of people. So that's amazing to see.
Appreciate it.
And are you going to be like dropping courses or creating mentorship
Mm.
groups or anything like that? Is that in your path somewhere? Because people want that.
I know they do. I do have quite a following that, I try to do like Zooms once a month or once every other month.
Mm-hmm.
What I've been focused on really this year, obviously I have a new baby. He's going to be 1 next month. So it's getting a little bit easier now. But really, what I've been focusing on this year is building a team. So as far as the flipping goes, we really scaled it this year. We, already doubled it and we're going to triple it.
How
And
many
so,
flips do you have going on?
well, I don't even know how many we have going on. I know I've bought 22. I've already sold probably 7 or 8 of them. I have to go and look. And then I have a couple on the market and then the rest we're working on. But, I've been trying to get myself out of that business and out of the wholesale part of it, right?
Is it
So
a
we've been
time suck?
hiring. It is a time suck, doing like, and the raising of the money and keeping my lenders updated on projects. There's, all the tiny little tasks
Of
throughout the day
course.
that like really that's just the time suck. So my focus this year has been, I've hired assistants. I'm trying to scale myself out of the wholesale part of it. I'm trying to get myself mostly out of the flipping part of it where, we've got our systems and our processes in place now. I just need someone to manage it. And then, yes, my next goal would be to create a free course. So I'm going to start with a free course. I just want to help people do what I did. And
Yep.
then if that escalates to something more, then that's great. I do love educating people. I mean, that's kind of my goal. I don't really feel like I need to get paid for it right now. But maybe one day I will. I don't know. We'll see.
Okay. So I have a weird question for
Okay.
you. Okay. So I don't really publicly discuss my political beliefs, so we don't have to go down that road. However, Trump is really intertwined with the real estate, right? So someone almost took an assassination on his life recently. If you have 20 to 30 flips going on and he didn't make it, would you be worried?
No.
Why?
Because I just have to go with the numbers. I just
Mm-hmm.
go with my process. I go with my numbers. If I
Mm-hmm.
have to buy my flips, then I'll buy them myself.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just take on partners or go raise the money. Like I'm not worried about it at all.
Okay.
I try to really stay out, again, just like you, I try to stay out of politics.
Yep.
I
Because a
feel
lot
like
of people have the belief that, he's going to fight for businesses and for real estate,
yeah,
and
I mean,
it's going to
obviously,
help with
I think
rates
that
in the
if he
near
gets
future.
elected, then it's going to be great for the entrepreneurs.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's going to be great for our economy. Like
Mhm.
I honestly, some of the social stuff aside, really my focus is business and the economy,
Yep,
right?
yep, yep.
And so whatever is going to help me in that aspect, that's what I care
You have
about.
no idea how many sellers I'm talking to that are telling me, I'm not going to sell my house. I'm waiting for the election. When Trump gets elected, I hope I'll sell my house for
It's
Right.
ridiculous
I
ridiculous
how
know.
many
amount of
sellers
people.
just proactively bring
Yeah.
Trump up.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's so funny.
Yeah.
So no, I really just try to stay out of it. I try to keep my numbers pretty lean, and as far as the flipping goes, as long as I can stay like all in that 75 to 80%, I know that I can refinance and hold it
Yeah.
for myself. I mean, real estate's never going to go away.
Right.
And I have a pretty slick process that I stick to. I mean, I'm not going to buy something unless the numbers work for me. I'm not going for, I'm not buying on margin like people used to back in 2020. You could buy it one ARV and it be $30,000 more 6 months later by the time
Yeah.
you sell it. Like we're not doing that.
I feel like some
We're
of the
buying a
flippers
little
had that
lower.
in their process. I'll overpay because the price is going to go
You
up.
almost
Yeah.
And by
have
the
to,
time
though.
I sell it, I'll make
2021, you had to
Yes.
do
In
that.
Yeah.
2021, yeah, you had to plan that, okay, it sucks right now, but in 6 months from now, it's going to be a complete different price.
Yes.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it was really a struggle.
Right, buying on the up margin.
Yeah.
Yeah, but those are fun.
It was
You just make so
exhilarating.
much more money.
Yeah.
So I have
Um,
an operational question
yes.
because if you have 22 flips that you had
Yes.
purchased, I can already imagine how many construction crews you have to deal with or construction related questions. Or does somebody else deal with that?
Well, that's where my husband comes in. He really helps me with that. I personally, so my job is to, I find the deals, I raise the money, I get it through title and escrow, and then after that, we just have a whole process in place like this,
After that, you're
we
like,
get the
here's 22
insurance,
houses.
the electric, the this, the that, and then I assign it to one of our contractors, right? I'll let like one or two go and bid on it. I tell them how much I want to spend. But for the most part, we're scaling with our contractors as well.
Mm.
And so it didn't happen overnight, but we found partners that they want to scale with us. And so, there's just a mutual respect, where I say, okay, I really need the price to be at this. Like we need to go in and we have a checklist of everything going through, right? And this is the price I need to be at, make it happen. If you can't make it happen, then I might give it to the next guy, right? And, it's not, it's not like, oh, this is going to be an 80 and I need it at 40, right? It's, a smaller margin there, but, yeah, and I've got crews that because we've been working together now for so long and we have that mutual respect that I can just kind of hand it off to them.
Mm.
And then my husband is essentially I would say the project manager.
Mhm.
So I don't ever go out to any of the properties. Like I
Wow.
don't leave my house. Like he's responsible for managing the houses and the kids, right? And then I'm responsible for managing the business
And the money.
and the money. Yeah.
Let me ask this part because this is probably somewhere in that equation, but you also said you have an integrator, which is super interesting. But
Yes.
with raising money and all of that intertwined, you also have like personalities that you have to work with and answer questions, and you have to manage like the bookkeeping and their returns and expenses. Like, is that to you or your husband, or is that the new integrator?
Oh no, that's for so the wholesale is separate from the flipping. Okay. And so as far as the wholesale goes, I have my partner over here and I call
Okay.
her the integrator because she runs all the operational stuff. So really I call her the operations manager.
Sure.
And then as far as the flipping goes, it's mostly me. Like I
I got you.
have bookkeepers, I have accountants, and so they
And
manage
then
all
you
of that.
take
And
all
then I
of
have
the phone calls and the questions from all the people that you guys are working with raising money?
yes. So
Okay.
I am the face with all the private money lenders.
I got you.
So I talk to
Makes
all the
them feel
private,
really good,
yeah, I
I'm
talk to
sure.
all the private money lenders. I'm the one, that, and we have like a pitch deck, and my assistant, like she's the one
Yeah.
that when we get a deal, she fills out the pitch deck, and I tell her like we're sending it to this person, this person, and this person, and you're waiting to
Nice.
look for it.
Mm.
Or if I've got to renew money, I'll be like, his money's going on this. So I have, my team manages all of that, but I manage, talking to all the lenders. My team will give them updates as far as, the project is going and what's going on with all that. But, if they have any questions or if they have more money, they come to me.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice. Is
like
that
that.
something that you might want to like delegate at some time? Because I mean, what happens when you get 40 flips, when you get 60 flips?
Yeah.
You probably can't take all those calls.
Yeah, I know. That's the goal, right?
Yeah.
Is to work myself out of the business. I don't know if I will ever not talk to my private money lenders though, because that's like a relationship
Yeah.
thing, right?
Sure.
And so I think that I will always be talking to private money lenders, and I love that part anyways.
Mhm.
Raising the money and doing all that kind of stuff. But then once they're on board, right, then it'll be about then handing them off to my team and letting them manage them from there.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. So, how does the rest of the year look for you? Do you guys kind of have that paved?
Well, she has a
Or
goal of 50 houses, is that
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I'm not pulling back. I mean, I think everybody's kind of like, okay, so now that the summer's over, what are you going to do? And I'm like, well, we didn't get the rates lowered this year, so I'm just going to keep buying like the rates are going to be lowered someday. And, I'm just going to keep buying, based off of how I've been doing it,
Mhm.
staying within that, ARV range and, managing the risk. And again, like we have really great construction partners. And, if all my properties that I buy, like for a flip, I would definitely purchase myself if I had to
Mhm.
and
And
keep
keep
in my portfolio. I haven't had to do that yet.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, I'm staying the course,
Do you guys have a strong will to incorporate more pad split?
Yes. Yes.
Yes, yes. Okay.
I do. I love my pad split. It's probably my best cash flowing property that I have. And no, I
Nice.
not probably. It is my best cash flowing property. I
Okay.
love my property manager. It's Miss K. Do you know? I'm sure you know Miss K.
No, that's okay.
She's amazing. I love her. I'm totally out of it. I don't have to think about anything. It was a sub two. So I basically, I think I paid the seller $3,000 and took over the mortgage.
Wow.
Last I heard, she had like 400 or 500 pad split doors.
Oh yeah, I heard she had like 600 is what I heard.
Well, then, yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, and she's awesome. I mean, I don't know how she does it. I could never do that. I told her I want nothing to do with it, right? Like
I heard one time she said, and this is hearsay, so I didn't hear it from her directly, like she would go and sleep on someone's couch to make sure that they're out of the house if she
yeah,
had to.
she does. She's great. Yeah, she's
I
amazing.
saw a little video yesterday of how to like get rid of squatters. So there's two
Hot
ways.
sauce.
If it's like a vacant property or an empty property, you put a demolition notice on it. And then they don't want to go in because they think that the house is
Good
condemned.
idea. Yeah.
And then the other way is you send your property manager in a chemical suit
There
and
you go.
they tell him the house is infested with
Dude, that is thinking
Yeah.
outside of the box.
Yeah, those are good. Yeah. Yeah.
Dude, you
Well,
have
the
to tell
reason,
Warren that.
the
yes.
reason I was kind of like, yes, yes, is because I haven't dove into the new fee structure.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm grandfathered into the old.
I
Yeah.
gotcha.
And so
But
I
it
don't
changes on
really
new
know.
members.
yeah. It changes.
Yeah.
when
It
you add a
changes on new
member.
members.
Yeah. So
Oh, it changes on new
When
members.
new
only?
members come in, they're gonna so like whoever you have existing, you're paying the same, or you can convert by choice.
Okay.
Or the new members that come in onto the
they
platform,
come on.
then they come in under the mandatory new fee structure.
But
Oh,
they
okay.
did recently do like a survey stating that they've had a lot of people complaining back and forth and that they wanted to actually get people's feedback in writing.
I filled it
So
out. Did you
I
fill it out?
filled it out twice.
Oh, okay. So I'm gonna
So
fill it
fill
out.
that out,
Okay.
Fill
yeah.
it out.
Because
Yeah, I underwrote one recently, and I was kind of like, oh, well, that's not as good as I thought it was going to be. So I love the pad split
oh
thing.
yeah.
So yes, I
Yeah.
am in for the right exit strategy. So again, I'm the kind, I at this point, I have a lot of single family, and I'm kind of done with single family, right? I feel like then I kind of moved into small multifamily. So I bought a fourplex, and I turned that into it's in Bay Meadows. It's a 2-1, and it's an Airbnb. It's like $70 a night for each one, and it kills it.
Really?
It is
Mm.
like a honeypot over there.
Wow.
And I thought, gosh, this is a great idea. So it's like construction workers, during the summer, and then during the winter, it's people visiting their families. So it's in a good area. It's cheaper than a hotel. You get to stay in a house. So I kind of like lean towards that. So then I bought another triplex, did the same thing, kills it. Versus like I have my vacation Airbnb in St. Augustine. I mean, it breaks even, but it doesn't do as well as I thought it was going to. So
Not on cash flow, at least.
not on cash flow, right? I mean, don't get me wrong. Owning any property, anytime, anywhere is great, right? For
Right.
the appreciation. I want all my properties to pay for themselves. I don't want to have to come out of pocket, and I would like to cash flow
Of course.
if we can, but it's not really how it works all the time. But I kind of have been moving in that direction is like, I don't think I just want single family to own for myself. I want multiple doors in one spot. And so that's why I like the pad split because it incorporates the single family and the multiple doors.
Yep.
And so, yes, I would like to do more. I haven't dove into that, but I am leaning towards multifamily now.
Really.
Mm.
So we'll see.
How are you guys coming across multifamily opportunity?
Well, so for right now, we've been doing just the small multifamily, right? So that comes up, in our wholesale like triplexes
Oh
or
yeah, yeah,
duplexes.
yeah.
But also, I've been kind of just putting it out there in my community, send me deals to underwrite if it's 40 to 100 units, and you know how it is. You just start talking about it, and people start sending you deals. So we're starting to see stuff come across our desk that we're underwriting. Nothing that we've bought yet.
How do
But
you get the leads right now? Because you said you started with cold calling. Are you still cold calling right now?
no, we don't cold call anymore. So we are doing PPC and mailers.
Hmm.
We did cold calling for a long time, and then we kind of pulled off of that, and now we're doing the PPC and the mailers. I am very interested in the AI cold calling. Pace actually just launched a new AI platform.
I saw that.
I
Yeah.
don't know if you saw that or not. I have not dove into it at all, but I've been listening to your calls, and it is very interesting because we will add more marketing channels, here pretty soon. But those are the two that we've been doing.
So there's one thing, one aspect with PPC that we
Mm.
kind of learned along the way. When somebody fills out a form, it almost always seems like they go out and they fill out 3 or 5 other
Right.
forms.
Right.
So it's a question of, and you don't even know if you were the first one or the third
Or the
one or the
last one.
fourth one. So it's kind of like a race as to who's going to get to that lead first, right? Now with technology, you can just bridge that gap because a lot of the times we would just like if we're unavailable, we can have the system make that call and then live transfer it and then that person's already on the line because a lot of the times they fill out a form and when you're calling them they're not even picking up, so you're wasting time and sometimes you get 2 leads at the same time, so it's even harder. So we just try to bridge that gap and then we also immediately they know, hey, somebody's going to call you from this number, make sure you pick up, and it just increases conversion.
Yeah.
And it seems like they're the hottest the moment they filled out
They
the
are.
form because they're thinking of like, okay, how do I get rid of this property? So I don't know if you guys have any kind of policy or something like that because here we try to keep it down to 2 minutes
Yes.
of time frame to call that person.
Yes, we do. We do send out a text and an email.
Nice.
And then within 5 minutes, as long as it's between like 8 and 9 p.m. Because you'll get some at like 4 a.m.
Oh, all the time.
Do you call them at 4 a.m.?
No, I don't call them.
Okay, I was just
Only until 3.
3 a.m. Okay.
I actually was a lot of the times I was thinking because I was
But I
awake.
like the idea of the AI calling and
Right.
then
Yeah.
live transferring. That's even better.
It's
Yeah.
really good, especially like, so one thing that it works out really well with, like, we market to our dead leads, and then we also have the AI continuing to call through leads that we were never able to get on the phone,
That's
right?
amazing.
So it'll just continue to dial through a certain routine, and then if it gets them on the phone, it asks if they're still interested, and then it says, hold on while I work on your offer, and just transfers it
And you
over.
guys set up your own AI. Yeah, I mean, you're
It's our
not
own.
using a system or
No, we couldn't
built it all.
because so like Air AI is one of the systems that are out there, and there's a handful of others. But when you're dialing through like massive amounts of data, the AI needs to like, first of all, it has to have a conversation, and it needs to recognize, is this lead dead? Is it DNC? Or are they ready to be called or to be opted in as a lead or to be transferred, right? And so it has to be tagged and it has to be put in different buckets, and no system is able to do that.
But
Yeah.
But
Well,
we
not,
create a
not only
system
that, it's
where the technology
generalized.
can auto categorize it and then even live transfer it over
so
to
now
us,
you could sell your system.
which we do.
We do. Yes.
Oh, well, there you go. I didn't even know that. See, you didn't even invite me to buy your stuff.
No, because you're too powerful.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're more powerful than
We
our
can't
No,
put
no,
that
no,
kind
no,
of
no.
volume through our
No, no,
system
no,
right
no,
now.
no.
I'm kidding. No, the system can do 10,000 dials in 30 minutes.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, it's just
But the
like a
biggest
mega dial.
advantage is that it's built specifically for wholesale and real estate or
Yeah.
generating leads for real estate investing
Right.
Wow.
because everybody's selling AI nowadays, but
Mhm.
there's nothing that's niched out to make specific calls only about a specific one thing. And then it's an all encompassing system where it's not just a front end call. It's a call, and then the lead gets reclassified, and then it's another call with another script, and so
Wow.
on and so forth.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
You guys got
And then Pace has a really great system also. I don't think his has talking AI incorporated into
I don't
it.
know it.
I
I
think it's a
actually
lot of
don't know
text
anything about
messaging.
Pace's
Yeah, it's a lot of
Yeah.
text messaging and agent outreach, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong.
It is.
So ours is a little bit different in that way. Plus, there's a little bit of a lot of stigma out there about talking AI being illegal, which is entirely inaccurate.
Okay.
Obviously, there's ultra legal ways to operate it, which is the way that it has to be practiced.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, people are going to break the rules, and it happens in wholesaling already anyway, because
Right.
people are pulling their data lists. They're not scrubbing DNC, they're not scrubbing mobile numbers, and 95%, probably more, are already dialing them illegally,
Mm-hmm.
right? So people are always going to operate the system's way that they can try to get the biggest advantage, but there are totally legal ways of approaching it.
Yeah.
Yep.
AI just blows my mind.
It's
yeah.
unbelievable because it's 25% cheaper at least versus already cheap overseas
I know. I was
VAs.
just gonna say.
And then a lot of people have their stateside people doing a lot of these responsibilities. And when you compare that to stateside salaries and payables, it's like
Right.
90%
You have no
cheaper.
overhead with an AI.
Well, and
Oh
they
my
can do
God,
really
it's
tough,
just
cool stuff too, like talk Spanish.
Oh yeah.
So it flipped into
Wow.
Spanish one time, and
Or
then there was
Korean.
another time where it was texting somebody in Korean,
Wow.
and it was like up to
This is
date with
funny.
Korean pop culture. It was like the person was referencing a band, and it actually was
Yeah.
like, "Oh, this is my favorite song, and I love that band."
Apparently, the
And we're like,
seller
"What?"
is from Korea and very familiar with Korean pop
Yeah.
culture.
Well, I think they said like 75% of the people on social media is a bot, like an AI.
Oh, I wouldn't
Really?
know that.
Yes,
Damn.
Yeah.
absolutely.
They were
Unless they have
saying
a
so like
blueprint.
anybody you're engaging with, on your Donald Trump
Stuff.
yeah,
Oh,
they're just
yeah.
trying to egg you on.
Oh, yeah.
It's just a
So,
bot.
so what Lewis was saying is AI was talking to him about
That's
Korean boy
amazing.
bands and
Yeah.
the current
Come on.
But like, how do you have that? And I'm sitting there taking the conversation and like putting it through a translator, and it was actually like it made perfect sense. You know, sometimes when you like type it in and then you like take it out and it doesn't make sense. The
Yeah.
sentence is like backward. It actually made sense. So if you're
like, do you
talking
have
to
a
somebody,
name for your
we
for
call
your
her
AI?
Jen for lead gen.
Jen, she's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah. So it's really cool.
I
Yeah,
like
That's
very
our
interesting.
agent, but everyone names their agent something
Right.
Something,
different.
yeah.
Oh, but the company is AI Speakly.
Okay.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
your shirt.
Like my shirt. Yep, AI Speakly. So, guys, shameless plug, go to
Yeah.
AISpeakly.com
I'm going.
for the latest and the greatest. But cool. So, we talked about a lot. We covered a lot. This was
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
If
well,
We're,
anyone
we're
Let's
wants,
like
do a part
media
2.
trained.
I am.
Yeah.
she needs like 8 parts. I
I
don't
was
even
gonna
think
say,
we
at least
scraped
the
the
part 2.
surface.
This was
Yeah.
just part 1.
Okay.
We'll have to do part 2, 3, 4.
Sure. No
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah.
Anytime.
So if anyone wants to reach out to you or, bend your ear or throw you a deal or something like that, how can they reach you?
So go follow me on Instagram. It's April N Juliano, and it's Juliano with a J. Send me a message. I'm the one that answers. It's not my assistant. I will talk to you through Instagram. You can also go follow me on my YouTube channel, April Juliano, and come to my meetup tonight. I have meetups once a month. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll see where my meetups are. We do them all over Jacksonville. Tonight is at the Ink Factory in Jacksonville Beach.
And how often do you do the meetups? Did
I
you
do them
say?
about once a month.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, if I have a trip that I'm going on, then I'll, skip the month. But yeah,
I gotcha.
I just want to say this too. I just went to your Instagram because I was so interested in how you said you've raised $11 million, and I know most people hear that and they're like, "I'll never be able to do that." And this is not taking away anything from you. You have 3,100 followers.
Yeah.
So it's not like you have
No.
200,000 followers
don't.
and you're just like easily just able to get people to just send you money. You have
That is
3,100.
mind-blowing.
Yeah.
So it's like
Not that
that's
many.
well, it is still a lot because it's more than all of us, but it's just so mind blowing that like you don't need 200,000 people
No.
following you in order to get opportunity on these deals.
Right. And if you have 200,000 followers, you should be raising $100
Oh yeah,
million.
you should do
Hey,
way more.
let's go. Okay. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us once again every Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. We go live not only here on Facebook, but also youtube.com/all leads suck. We appreciate you guys. Once again, I'm Dominic Felix,
Lewis.
This is Sam.
and we'll see you guys next week. Woo!
Hey.